Welcome to the session on countering isolation and disconnectedness through safe workplace interactions. It is an important topic on your road to becoming more resilient. I'm Dr. Johan Smith. I'm an Industrial Psychologist in independent practice, and I will be hosting this presentation with my co-author, Dr. Selma Smith.
Thank you, Johan. Yes, I'm a family physician and have spent my career in the challenging public health sector of South Africa, where I managed service delivery and trained medical students and doctors specializing in family medicine.
To achieve the learning outcomes, we will start by discussing how COVID-19 disrupted the world and the future world of work.
We will then introduce a broad definition of health. You will consider your own emotional well-being and your wellness wheel. We will end the session by some thoughts on positive functioning and how to maintain personal connectivity.
The shock of COVID-19 arrived on our shores in March 2020. The COVID-19 outbreak caused by the respiratory illness SARS-CoV-2 was declared by the World Health Organization a pandemic on 11 March 2020 due to the interconnected world we live in. Measures to contain the spread of COVID-19 increased the daily stresses experienced by employees, and their health and well-being suffered as a result. COVID was indeed a once-in-a-lifetime event. The world pressed the pause button that resulted in the following. Spending patterns changed, working from home increased, economies shrank by nearly 20% during lockdowns, schools were closed for extended periods of time, non-pharmaceutical measures such as masks, social distancing, and isolation were introduced. Governor identified certain psychosocial risks that were faced by employees when they were working remotely or in a virtual working environment. These were high workloads due to certain members being isolated upon having COVID, loneliness from working at home, feelings of low energy levels or exhaustion, and also a lack of participation and control over work, as employees had to work on their own rather than as members of a team at the workplace. And therefore the realization by most employees that you can't hug a computer screen. Emily Sedotti, a senior first officer on the Airbus A380, captures this environment when she posted online the following. Finally, wearing my uniform and returning to the sky, resuming the career of my dreams. 631 days of challenge during the pandemic is over. COVID-19 has fundamentally changed the way we work, as people are now back working in offices as well as remotely. The pre-COVID work arrangement of being present at the workplace from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 is no longer workable. The remote working from home, with increased use of technology such as Zoom meetings as well as in-office work on some days. The so-called hybrid work arrangements during COVID-19 have now been accepted by many employers and employees as a permanent change. Remote working is here to stay as employers enjoy cost savings, and for employees the promise is of time saved. But as many a remote employee knows, the boundary between work and home life can blur. As a cartoonist puts it, I can't remember. Do I work at home or do I live at work? COVID-19 will become just another endemic disease, but it has fundamentally changed the way we work. As mentioned above, people are now back working in offices as well as remotely. As employees will in future not be in the physical work environment on a regular basis, they will continue to experience the same stresses as they did during the pandemic. Therefore, in summary, remote work will continue. Employees will continue to experience the same stresses as during the pandemic of having no boundaries between work and home, 24 hours, 7 days a week of incoming emails, and having a cell phone that is always on. These stresses often result in depression and anxiety-related symptoms. This is not a surprise, as a survey of 37 global risks that have gotten worse throughout COVID has the deterioration of mental health in its top 3 risks. Depression and anxiety are the most common mental health problems in the workplace. It is very common to feel low or sad or stressed and anxious on occasion. However, if these feelings and changes in energy levels last longer than a week or create problems with personal relationships and affect your physical health, then you need to reach out for professional help. Please refer to your content for additional resources on anxiety and depression. Employers and employees will thus have to look beyond only physical safety at work and work towards everyone feeling psychosocially safer and healthier.
The World Health Organization defines health as a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. Health is thus not only the absence of physical illness, but also includes well-being and happiness. In order to counter isolation and disconnectedness through safe workplace interaction, we will focus on mental and social well-being. In this, we rely on the work of positive psychology with a focus on the importance of interpersonal relationships. If one is resilient, you can manage stress and bounce back from difficult experiences. If the opposite is true in the work situation, you experience job burnout. The World Health Organization defines burnout as feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, feeling emotionally distant from one's job, or feeling cynical or negative about work, and reduced professional efficiency. To be resilient, one needs to practice a flexible emotional mindset by being aware of the present moment and taking actions that match your own work values. Healthy personal wellness habits include getting enough sleep on a regular basis and taking short breaks or vacations. To make this a bit more practical, let's look at our own lives. Which face of the five comes closest to expressing how you feel about your own life as a whole? The very sad face, the well, it's okay face, or the very happy face? Take a moment to reflect. Hopefully, you mark the faces towards the green or positive side on the slide. This is good and may indicate that you are leading a happy and well-balanced life. However, research in the USA has shown that 66% of participants marked the neutral yellow face, and therefore most of us need to strive towards improving our emotional well-being and ensure that we are functioning positively. We will now look at the wellness wheel to see which aspects could have influenced the face you chose. The wellness wheel is a comprehensive self-assessment tool and evaluates various aspects of a well-balanced life, incorporating emotional, physical, environmental, social, and other life-influencing areas. Look at the wellness wheel, only the big circle for now, for a better understanding of how interconnected various aspects of one's life is. We will discuss each aspect of the wellness wheel individually, so don't worry if you cannot read the small text. Note that the wellness wheel consists of interconnected areas that should be in balance to create a feeling that you have control and to ensure an overall sense of well-being. These are social, intellectual, emotional, occupational, environmental, financial, spiritual, and physical. On the next slide, we would like you to give yourself a mark for each of the 7 different areas. Give yourself a mark out of 10 according to how satisfied you are with that specific aspect of your life. For instance, 10 means you are extremely satisfied and think it's near to perfect. 1 means you are extremely unsatisfied. 7 indicates you are quite happy, but there are room for improvement. 3 means lots of improvement is needed. Now, score yourself on each of these following aspects. Firstly, consider your physical wellness. What is your ability to maintain a healthy life? Choose a score out of 1 to 10. Next, emotional wellness. How well do you understand yourself and cope with challenges that life brings? Intellectual wellness. This is the ability to open your mind to new ideas and experiences that help you make sound decisions. Social wellness. How well do you relate to your family and loved ones and other people around you? Job-related wellness. How much do you like your job, and do you still have a life outside of that? Spiritual wellness is the ability to have peace and harmony in your life. The last one, financial wellness. How well do you live within your means and manage your finances for short and long term? Now consider the marks you gave each of those aspects. High marks, 6 or above, indicate that it probably does not need urgent attention, where the lower marks, especially below 5 or even less, show that you need to give urgent attention to those aspects. Discuss your marks with a trusted friend, a significant other, or an expert, for instance in financial affairs, on how you could balance your wellness wheel to bring all aspects of wellness into balance.
Emotional well-being is when you experience many positive emotions and you are satisfied with your life. To improve your general emotional well-being, you therefore need to cultivate mindfulness, which is a meditation technique of being here, not there. By being more outgoing and meeting other people, and by not bottling things up inside you. Now let us look at these aspects in a bit of more detail. Mindfulness is a tool in which you focus on what you are sensing and feeling in the moment, so to relax your body and mind and help reduce stress. Mindfulness is a meditation technique of embracing the present moment, looking neither forward nor past, and dealing with things as they are. Please refer to your content for additional resources on practicing mindfulness. According to research, happy individuals are outgoing, friendly, and at ease socially. Because of this, their lives are filled with many more social opportunities of interaction, and as a result, they are generally speaking happier. Happy people smile more and make more of an effort to be positive and engaging with other people. They go to more social functions and spend more time with co-workers. The well-known example is that happy people see a glass half full with water as half full and not half empty. If you want to be happy, therefore, make an effort to become more outgoing. Bad things are bound to happen from time to time, but bottling them up is a recipe for poor mental and physical health. Happy people try to deal with negative emotions such as fear, anger, anxiety, and sadness as quickly as possible by solving the problem, bringing problems into the open so that they can be solved, or doing things that stop the negativity. The best way is to find a buddy to talk to. This can be your life partner, a colleague at work, a family friend, or any person that you feel you can trust and confide in. Happiness is not simply a matter of doing positive things. It is also removing the negative things which block your journey to happiness. It's in the saying of avoiding a toxic relationship or environment. It will help if you jot down all the things that you perceive to be negative and then tackle them in a problem-solving way of how you are going to avoid or eliminate them from your life. After some time, you should return to your checklist and see what your progress is. An example could be of people in your friendship circle that are always negative or always seeing the glass as half empty. You could try and convince them that there's another side to the story, or a positive interpretation of what is happening, in so to avoid this toxicity of that relationship. If you want to be happy, eliminate the negatives from your life.
Positive functioning is when you live your life fully, fulfilling your three basic needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Autonomy is when you feel in control of your own behavior and goals. You are in charge. Competence is when you can feel you can do your job well. Relatedness is when you experience a sense of belonging and friendship with people. We will now discuss how to achieve these three aspects. To feel in control of your own behavior and goals, you can firstly be more active physically by getting up and moving around. For instance, go for a walk or a run. Do household chores. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Do some gardening. Also, focus on today. Be happy today. Happy people don't dwell on the past, and they make most of every day. They don't worry too much about the future. Focus on the present. To become better at doing your job, having more confidence, you can focus to love what you do. Happy people are good at finding meaning in even everyday tasks, which makes them more enjoyable to do. If you want to be happy, find a source of meaning, of purpose and significance for your life. On a more practical side, be more organized and be good at planning. Happy people know where they want to go in life, as they have long-term plans and a sense of direction in life. If you want to be happy, get organized. Have a to-do list for every day and a tick-off list to tick off what you've completed. This will give you a sense of achievement. To create a sense of belonging and friendship with people, you need to spend time socializing with others. Work on having a wide network of friends and acquaintances. When times are tough, seek out people rather than cut yourself off. If you want to be happy, develop a reasonably active social life. Maintain and develop close relationships, as they are critical to happiness. Appreciate and maintain your close friends, family members, and your romantic partners. Time invested in enhancing your closest relationships will reap the greatest rewards in your happiness. If you want to be happy, work on improving your relationships with the ones who you love most. To be able to maintain relatedness, you need a community at work that you belong to and where you are accepted in. It is all about a mindset you choose to have. For instance, be positive and believe that people are kind. So, do not jump to conclusions before you have all the facts. Resist to be drawn into gossip groups. Rather, deflect negative talk with a positive remark about the relevant issue. Be willing to do a favor without expecting something in return. Always remember that you may be in a position in future that you might need help and not able to reward or return the favor accordingly. So, smile and do the favor with a smile on your face and happiness in your heart. Care about others and believe in their potential to become better. Have something worthwhile to contribute that is of value by others. Make sure that your work is of the highest standard. Pay attention to detail and to critique. Do not feel negative about it, but see it as an opportunity to improve yourself and provide a better service. Be a part of your work group and ask for support from them when needed. Do not feel shy to ask for help. We are all expected to walk the talk, but sometimes the road becomes bumpy and you might need some assistance. Reach out and be sure that others will respond to your need. Honesty often reaps unexpected rewards rather than trying to hide the fact that you are in trouble. Please refer to your content for additional resources on mental wellness.
Stress has become a fashion word. It indicates a state of mental tension and worry caused by problems in life or in your work. This is normal. We all face trauma, adversity, and other stresses in our lives. These daily stresses can, however, be overcome, and we can lead flourishing lives and experience resilience by taking care of our bodies and practicing being here and not there mindfulness, embracing positive emotions and maintaining a hopeful outlook, having and nurturing close relationships, and being comfortable with who and what we are, how we look, and what we stand for. As the female pilot of an Airbus 380 said, revisit your purpose, passion, and values often. Be a positive leader in your work environment or for your children via watching every step of the way. Life is not a dress rehearsal. The camera is always rolling. Fall in love with being alive and well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith and Dr. Smith. I would just like to open up at this point in time the floor to any questions that any of our attendees would like to have answered. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes. You can post any of your questions in the question and answer box that should be at the bottom of your screen. So any questions at this point in time, we will have Dr. Smith and Dr. Smith answer. Just so that everyone is aware, the recording of this session will be made available to you. So everyone that's asking that at the moment, yes, it will be available. We will send it to all of the people that have attended for tonight. So the first question that we have tonight is it true that sadness and stress can be addictive? Over to you, Dr. Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm not so sure about addictive, but it can become a habit because it's to do with your way of thinking.
They talk about neuroplasticity, where you rewire your brain basically with certain circuits. So to a certain extent, if you feel trapped in a certain way of thinking, it could be as addictive as other addictions that we know of. I hope it's a good question.
Your next question is, what techniques can one use to cope with a toxic work environment?
A toxic work environment is difficult to define because it's it's your lived experience of it. So if you become aware of negative feelings towards you, even aggressive behaviors, I would suggest that you discuss that. Definitely with your team leader, if you're working in an organization with teams, and if you are in a smaller organization, discuss it with a colleague of yours to make certain whether you understand the problem or others are perceiving it as well. If eventually you can't solve this by escalating it to co-workers or managers, it will be necessary to maybe leave that environment if it's too toxic.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. The next question is, can mental depression cause long-term brain disorders or chemical imbalance of the brain?
My friend is a neurosurgeon and so forth, but I can't answer that. I think it's a good question and something that we maybe can come back to you guys before Monday when you send out the slideshow.
Then there's a question in terms of at what point in time with work stresses should a person consult professional services?
I think if you have serious depression-like symptoms like losing sleep, losing weight, considering self-harm, that type of conditions, situations, then you should definitely seek attention.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. The next question is, can you elaborate on how to deal with burnout when you've lost all interest in your work in the post-COVID pandemic era that we're living in now?
This is occurring quite frequently. I think the term for it is the silent resignation. So you are not interested in your work anymore, and survey after survey has found the numbers of people resigning silently but still being present is increasing considerably. What basically positive psychology has given us is to go back to your purpose and your values, and from there determine what your next steps will be. Because when you're doing or taking on task and aligned with your values or your North Star, if that's the best way to deal with all these stresses and of being basically absent at work.
The next question is, how does one deal with split loyalties in a remote working session?
That's an interesting question. because the problem with remote working and our findings are that you need to spend more time of the team leader in specifically to check in with all the remote workers, at least on a weekly basis. And then you also need the team to come together now when at this stage of COVID to have in-face meetings as well.
The next question is, some of the most severe mental health impacts of sustained isolation and disconnectedness during COVID-19 continue to affect marginalized sectors of society, such as our elderly, children, persons with disabilities. How can we apply workplace mental health tools in our homes and within our communities?
Do you want to? It is definitely so. We can see it in our own family circle, the adverse effects of isolation on the elderly specifically. And then if we look at the latest reports on children and how they lag in schools, it is definitely a problem that we experience. The tools that we can use in a work environment normally is to make people aware of mental health as being part of your total health as a person. And then obviously, if the symptoms continue, you need professional help from psychologists or maybe other medical disciplines.
The next question is, how can burnout affect an employee in their future endeavors?
Burnout is definitely in the current employment position negative for that employee. They cannot perform. And basically, when you have a certain job or role responsibilities that you need to execute on, and you've experienced burnout, you will have lower performance and therefore be dropping the ball in that sense of the word.
The next question is, what would signs and symptoms be if you're experiencing a form of work-related PTSD after COVID?
Post-traumatic stress.
Well, one always looks at how you perform in a, whether it is in a work-related situation or other. So how does it affect your ability to perform, and does it affect your functioning in other areas? So can you still do the work, or can't you? Do you have flashbacks? Do you have times when you just freeze when you see a specific trigger problem once again?
But post-traumatic stress syndrome is already an advanced mental illness. You need professional help to work in therapy with that if you do feel you have post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Thank you. The next question is there a difference between burnout and compassionate fatigue?
And sorry,
compassion fatigue.
Basically, you'll feel the same emotionally for both. I would say.
I think they are related, but compassion fatigue is probably less so. You probably will be able to bounce back easier from that if you take a break and change the situation, where burnout is a much deeper problem.
And really revisit that simple technique of your wellness wheel. That wheel needs to be in balance. If you are spending too much time in one on one factor of that wheel, you are damaging your full functioning that you can have.
Thank you. The next question is, how does one set up healthy boundaries as a remote worker?
It's very important. Currently in Europe, certain states have already legislated about after work time. So especially in the Netherlands and Spain currently, and I think France is also considering that, you may not phone a worker or a co-worker after working hours. You also may not require them to respond to emails or other correspondence. So that is, I think, where we are going worldwide on this, to have clear boundaries of saying no to certain events and activities. And that should not then impact on your performance appraisal.
Thank you. The last question that we're going to dealing with tonight is, has there been any research done on the positive impact of working remotely, such as increased productivity or reducing of stresses such as traffic congestion?
No, those are the findings that we are currently working with. And we traveled the other day, early morning traffic, and it was horrendous. To think that, especially now with load shedding as part of the equation, to think of how resilient South Africans are to spend 2 hours in traffic just to get to work if they have got an in-face meeting. I think we are doing very well under tremendously stressful circumstances.